witness the musical feast at the National Indoor Sports Centre to close out Reggae Month. Come make we celebrate the Reggae Pioneers. Come and be entertained by Luton Fire, Jesse Royal, Etana, Third World Band, and many more. The Reggae Gold Awards at the National Indoor Sports Centre, Thursday, February 29, 7 p.m. Admission is free and it will be live right here on PBCJ starting at 8 p.m.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Attorney part-time, and so he's here, and the truth is that JaRIA is also celebrating 15 years, and so it is perhaps the best place to start you on.
Indeed.
About the vision behind JaRIA starting and some of the objectives of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an important conversation to have, because I find that in this space, in the Jamaican space, there is kind of a distrust of association. There's kind of a reluctance to associate and to join, particularly in our entertainment space. And it is unfortunate because in business, and a lot of us like to use the term music business or show business or entertainment business, but in other business spaces, people associate because it is a necessary thing, because it is a necessary part of how they share information, how they share leads, how they share strategies, and so on. So that is a part of the reason why a JaRIA was formed. A JaRIA was formed because there needed to be collective consciousness around our music industry. And of course, it started when there was a conversation around monies that were available in Europe that couldn't be accessed because not everybody knew, one, where to find it, not everybody knew how to find it, and there was no collective strategy around bringing those funds to the benefit of artists who had earned them rightly, over a period of years. And so there needed to be some kind of organization that would cause a coalescence, that would pull things together. And of course, that organization, by organic process, became JaRIA.
And I think it's important that we point out to you, and I remember when JaRIA started that there were other industry associations thinking that we are ignoring that they exist.
Yes.
But the Muddlers and Umbrella, can we talk a little about that?
Absolutely.
About the JFM and the others who become a part of JaRIA?
Absolutely. And I'm happy that we're getting an opportunity to put that on the canvas, literally, because people need to understand the usefulness of an umbrella association. Different organizations exist for different reasons. They serve different purposes. So we talk about a JFMAU, that's really a musicians union.
Yeah.
Musicians unions have specific mandates. Now, some may morph them or modify them or expand them or give them a little more elasticity than others. But then you have also collecting societies.
Yeah.
Good? And those collecting societies have their very clear mandates and their clear rules on how they function, how they spend funds, how they receive funds, what they can sponsor, what they can actually do. JaRIA exists to be that organization that fills the gaps between them and pulls them all together to the benefit of a greater industry. So, of course, it is not disregarding the existence of a JFMAU, the existence of a Java, the existence of a JCAP or JAMS. or any other such organization that could exist, because the JFMAU is not the only musicians union that exists.
Exactly.
So it is not to ignore those, but it's to magnify their role. It is to be that connective element that pulls the whole thing together. So, I mean, one of the things that people have to understand is that in an industry where you have stratification and you have specialization, sometimes you need generalists. Sometimes you need that thing that will be the glue, and that is what JaRIA is.
Thank you for that, Johan. I do know the distrust, and it was also important that JaRIA declared that it was non-aligned.
Yes.
So it really is not attached
Yes.
to, in as much as we work with government and collaborate with government, it's not politically aligned.
Correct.
So for artists, musicians, and practitioners in the industry who are perhaps thinking that a government business,
Yes.
the government is not our enemy, but we want you to know that we have an independent voice. 15 years.
Yes, yes.
Has that been a struggle for you? I know the last time we had this conversation, we spoke about founding members. I'm a
Yes.
founding member. We've had a number of chairmen. Yuan was responsible for CALM, which is our advocacy and lobbying department in JaRIA. And so for a while, there was a lot of lobbying.
Yes.
Do you think, when you reflect now, 15 years later, were we successful at anything?
I think we have been. We've been successful at many things. And sometimes we beat ourselves up about the reality of the success that we have had. But even the very foundations of the celebration of a reggae month, if it were not for a JaRIA, the push to that,
Yeah.
the push to giving that pride of place where people now come with an expectation of that celebration. Because there are many things that we have declared. We have declared, you know, several different months and times and days, you know, and usually people stumble upon them and, oh yes, it was today, we celebrated that today. But for us to be able to develop a palate and an appetite for the celebration of Reggae Month, with all its faults, with all its flaws, with all its teething pains, with all its beauty and with all its potential, it's a win for an organization like JaRIA. For us to be able to have the longest running award show, and
That's been consistent.
Consistently running award show of quality, legitimate, industry-led award show. The longest running one in reggae music, the longest running one in Jamaica, is a win for us. But then there are also other wins. The conversation that is front and center and that has come back center now around noise abatement. We've been a part of that conversation. We have been at the forefront of that conversation, pushing not just the change from noise abatement, which reflects a kind of disregard for the aesthetic value, the economic value, the philosophical value of music and relating to it as noise. But not just that, but talking about where is it housed?
Yeah.
What
I think it's important, Johan. I'm sorry to break you, but as you speak, because of the current conversation going on about the Lit Festival,
yes,
Lost in Time, for those who are not lit, just sounds like it's hype and good.
It's lit, yes.
So the current conversation about noise abatement, about entertainment spaces, and no, it's not a new conversation to JaRIA.
At all.
But what really struck me from what you were just speaking about is, where do we locate it? Because everyone talks, but who pushes that forward?
Yes.
So the talkers, what's the role of an association like JaRIA, like JFM, in this context, in terms of lobbying for change?
So JaRIA sits in an interesting space because it must now reflect the perspective of the industry, but it must also feed back to the industry information which enlightens it in terms of the approach to things such as these. So for example, just saying, oh, we must just allow music for play till whenever, and you can't just lock off the dance for play, or I want to disturb my neighbor because I'm feeling so right. you know, we can deal with it politically, right? But I'm just saying that's one approach. But then there's another approach which says that there is a doctor who has to go to surgery at 6 in the morning, who needs to sleep, who lives nearby. Or there is a 75-year-old pensioner who needs to enjoy the space that they have worked hard to live in. There's balance. And somebody has to address the balance conversation. But somebody also has to address the fact that if I have invested millions of dollars in producing an event, that I also have a right to have my event progress undisturbed and progress in accordance with the permits I've been given.
And the ones who own the homes are saying that I've invested my life earnings in the home.
And that is where now a JaRIA says to a government or to a regulatory body, we need to provide for spaces which allow for all of us to coexist in peace. And that is where it takes us to a conversation about entertainment zones, entertainment venues, entertainment policies.
Is that cause being championed now?
It is being championed in different ways. And we have to bear in mind that there was a time when the battle was fought using guns and gunpowder. And there's a time before that when it was spears, and a time before that when it was stones. And then there is a time that is now, or placards. But then it also can be fought in the cyberspace, or it also can be fought by different levels of lobbying. And so there's a particular kind of change of strategy that might help, because there's no value in people thinking, just as there is no value in people thinking that JaRIA is part of the government, there is no value in thinking that JaRIA and the government is at war, because we are supposed to be lobbying them for the interest of an industry that benefits everyone.
I am nodding my head because I am thinking, I kind of know that people want to know where we're going with it.
Yes.
And when you think about it, what is JaRIA going to do now?
So
because
we
it feels urgent.
Yes. We have some recommendations that we need to make. And some of them have been made in certain interesting spaces. And as I have said, in some spaces, there is no need to treat with these compliance issues as criminal issues. And that's the first thing that we need to get right. It's a matter of compliance. How do we treat a business that is not registered? We don't bring a gun to that conversation. We don't bring flailing hands and waving and carrying on and trying to grab people by the scruff. We don't do that. We address compliance issues in a respectful and respectable manner. And we have to have a conversation about how we give regard to Jamaica's best product.
It is our best
Jamaica's
product.
best product, despite the fact that we have not habitually treated it as our best product, as our prime product. I mean, one of our sponsors has a prime product. That prime product is in a bottle that's rather shapely.
Yes, the Ray.
Indeed. Good. Now, you will see how they treat it. Well, when you walk into a store, you see what they place it in. Yes? Now, it is created in the casks and the barrels like many other of their products. But some products are treated in a particular way. And until we begin to treat our entertainment product with the respect it deserves, it will not be the liberation of Jamaica's economy and of Jamaica's headspace and of Jamaica's sense of self that it ought to be.
We continue this conversation in a few. We are going to, as we have this conversation on the weekend, we got some unfortunate news, and we send our condolences to the entire music fraternity, especially the family of the Morgan's heritage. We lost Peter on the weekend, and PBCJ JaRIA pays tribute to him by playing some videos. Welcome back. We are back. We are laughing because sometimes I wish you could hear the conversations we have when we think no one is listening. Safe enough though. We're joined by a wonderful lady. Her name is Gillian Wilkinson McDaniel. She's the principal director or the chief cook and buckle washer. No, she's the principal director of entertainment policy at the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you, Colleen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Was it a pleasurable trip to get here?
Boy, it freed up. It freed up. Yeah, it freed up. Yeah,
Eventually.
and I'm here.
And if you're just joining us, thank you for tuning in to Reggae Open University. It's actually our last week. It's the last day in February. And we have quite a bit of things that we're running out of now and running into in a few when we leave here for those who are going to Reggae Gold. Later on, Yuan will tell us about the JaRIA Honor Awards that comes up in the month following.
Yes,
March.
March, yes.
So if you're just joining us, Yuan Simpson, chairman of JaRIA, was here with me. And Gillian, we were talking about JaRIA's inception, what it meant in terms of an umbrella organization, and just some of the lobbying it was able to do in the early stages, the different strategies now that they're employing, perhaps a little milder in terms of getting things done. And so as you join us, I just want you to chip in on your own views on the purpose of associations, because you would have had experience with other associations outside of music, outside of reggae. Yeah. Perhaps is there a model that you think works that we could look at?
That's actually a very good question, but I think before I really start and delve into that, I want to really pay tribute to the late Ibo Cooper, who we worked with very closely for a number of years, whether while I was with the Ministry of Tourism, with JAMPRO, now with the Ministry of Culture. The fact is that Ibo Cooper, as chairman of JaRIA for a number of years, was one of the, he was always championing the industry associations and the need to come together. And so I really want to honor him and to say that at the outset. Is there a model for industry associations that really work? I think there are some hybrids, I think. The Jamaica Film and Television Association, they have managed to garner quite a bit of support from their membership because they provide some very good services to their members. People pay dues because, dues are the bedrock of industry associations. But I also think that there is a role for government to play in supporting and strengthening industry associations. We have to recall that the industry associations came out of, most of them, actually JaRIA, the Visual and Performing Arts Jamaica, the Dramatic Artists Association. Some of them came out of the private sector development program through the European Union funding. But how do we sustain that? And the sustainability of the industry associations is really what we should be really fighting for and talking about. So for example, where we're able to provide administrative support to industry associations, because one challenge that you may have, and we have seen it time and time again, is that the work of the industry association is not a full-time job, it's a part-time job. It's what you do after 5 and 6 and 7 o'clock. And weekends.
It's not a job.
It's not a job, it's just what we do.
It is voluntary service.
That is right. That is exactly right. So there needs to be that space and scope for paid positions and internships, because there are so many people who could benefit, young people could benefit from interning in associations like that and developing that capacity. So there's a way, I think, that we have to really reconsider and restructure how industry associations perform, their governance structures, and how it is that government relates to those industry associations.
I find that is refreshing, is interesting and refreshing
You're
for
right.
me, because sometimes you get the feeling, and it's not a government or one government, but you get the feeling, and I've gotten that feeling over time, that even within the structures of government, people are unclear as to how they should feel about industry association, almost like we're not certain if they're the enemy or not, you know. And I'm saying, and I said people, because I want to be as general as I can be.
Yeah.
But it is important to appreciate that the synergy comes from the tension that is created by diverse needs, and by, lobbying and lobby groups are a part of a vibrant
Correct.
industry space.
Yeah.
And so even if you have some people who may be a little bit more abrasive than would be appreciated, right, in the lobbying and in the process, it is important to no one else.
Oh no, so them I laugh because I made it two of them I look back.
You know, but I'm just saying, different people approach the process
Correct.
differently.
Absolutely
you know?
correct.
But there's no value, and I'm happy to hear you say, to put it in the perspective that you have, because it is important that government, and I'm not speaking of a specific ministry now, but I'm saying government, and government, not just the administrative, but the executive, sees industry associations as a necessary organ to a thriving industry.
I don't think that's in dispute though.
I get the impression
I don't think so.
I get the impression sometimes that it could even be an annoyance.
I think it can be, but I
table.
think if we look at the history though, to be fair, let's look at the history of how JaRIA was born. It was born out of a ministry effort.
Absolutely.
So it was born out of a ministry effort. I remember those days of having meetings at ministry, and then it almost like, there you go. We've supported you. You're on your own.
Go live
Well,
now.
let's put you out of the nest.
Yes.
So I really think it's a balance. You know, when we talk about private-public partnerships, I think the associations and government in this instance is one appreciating the other.
Absolutely.
The practitioners know what the business is. They know the intricacies, and you're able to give those details to policymakers.
Correct.
So I want to say, how do we move beyond those little isms that we come up with,
correct,
and really work together as associations and government and private sector?
Because you see, for me, there are things that are necessary in the industry that sometimes there are facilities that the government can provide, through the associations. So for example, when there was a COVID grant,
Yes.
one of the things, and I mean, I am here speaking as openly as I normally do, but when there was a COVID grant, one of the beautiful things that happened was that the Ministry of Culture that was managing the grant for the entertainment industry, as part of the requirement, indicated that you had to be part of an association to benefit.
Yes.
Now that's beautiful, because it gave relevance.
We get enough members to
You get what I'm saying? but on the other hand, there may be other opportunities that do not depend on a pandemic. There may be other methods of engagement. We talk about things like work permit applications.
And okay, because I wanted to throw to Gillian to just tell us some of the other ways that you engage with the community, and then you can share whether or not you think the direct engagement with community would serve us better if it's done through associations. But I actually have had a lot of questions about entertainment registry. Gillian, for instance, like what does that do? And how do, what Johan just brought up about the COVID situation and people having to sign up, how does that work for someone who is a member of JaRIA, for instance, and signs up? What do they sign up as?
All right, so I want us to step back a little, because one of the things that we had done at the initial stages of the registry was to actually write to industry associations and ask them to have their membership grandfathered into the registry. So is it possible for you to get get some kind of approval from your membership that you would be grandfathered into this registry? And that was a flat no.
Yes.
That was a flat
Yes.
no. Because there were, there was a perception of breach of privacy and all kinds of issues, and we recognized that, and it was okay. So let us build from there. And one of the building we had to do was to actually always prove what are the benefits. What are the benefits for entertainment companies? What are the benefits for entertainment individuals? And that benefit has been, the most obvious one is the fiscal incentives. That is, if you are, and your tools of trade. So if you are a musician, a music producer, or in the business of producing music, then you are able to bring your equipment duty-free into if you're importing equipment. The same is true for filmmakers and persons in the business of film. We have tried to expand that, but that requires amendments to the Customs Act,
yes,
as you know. So there, and some of those are some of
those require a continuous
absolutely
dialogue, which
with,
has to be structured
with industry associations.
Correct.
Industry associations are integral to that continuous process.
Correct.
Well, I mean, what are the new kinds of technologies that should be considered duty-free? Those kinds of things, those are not things that government readily knows. But it is what industry practitioners know. And so we always have to have that constant dialogue with you.
I think one of the things that I would say with industry associations and the ministry, people want to know that the playing field is level. And sometimes when you go through an association, the ministry or the government is sort of take yourself out of that little ant's nest of saying that you're selecting Johan and Colleen versus others. When you're going through the associations and you are saying your members can benefit from this, your members can benefit from this fund. But as we speak of benefits, earlier on we were talking about JCAP, jams, and the fact that they become a part of a JaRIA, but they function. How does the ministry balance that? Like, how do you balance the umbrella organization, but the organizations themselves?
You know, that's interesting, because one of the things that, I mean, Johan and I have discussed this as well, is whether or not there ought to be a ministry representative on JaRIA or on JAFTA or on JAD or any of the industry associations. And it's a little bit tricky sometimes, because we are also providing support to those industry associations in terms of capacity building, in terms of funding sometimes for projects and programs. And so we have to kind of, it can be tricky.
But you know.
And even though you and I have had this discussion about that, there's no trick in it, really.
Yes,
and
I don't think there's a trick in it.
There, you know, we can
because let me tell you why. Let me tell you what the challenge is.
I want you to hold this thought, just because we're in production and we're up on a little break. Julian, I really love you for always celebrating and honoring Ibu. Julian has this thing on our wall that says, "God give us men."
Yes.
She shared it with me when Ibu passed, so I do know that the sentiment wasn't pretty for TV, you know? And we actually had a whole program honoring him. And we are honoring someone else as we go through the show, young, he 46, and we are honoring him, and so we go to a break to celebrate Peter Morgan once more.
Jamaica's calling. I'll be down by the river. party day. So I got everything to say. Oh yeah. 3 symbols to me. My sunrise is always there in the morning, praying and blessing the day. Oh yeah, Lord. Amsterdam, are you with us? Beautiful. Well, we gotta say, this is probably one of our most favorite parts of our show, wouldn't you say, Sister Una?
I would definitely say so.
That's right. And that's because we get to hear our brother Grandpa over there sing this song, so sweet and so nice. But before we have brother Grandpa sing this one, we want to know how many people in Amsterdam tonight wants to hear Grandpa sing this song? We said, how many people would like to hear Brother Grandpa sing this song? But okay, Grandpa, they want to hear you sing. Amsterdam, are you ready? Oh, Grandpa, I think they want to hear you do your thing. Oh, yeah. Amsterdam, are you ready? Well, listen good. I heard about this till a long time ago. But never had the faith, I believe in my soul.
Thanks for staying with us. We are Reggae Open University, a production of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, and our guests, Gillian Wilkins and Matt Daniel from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, and Mr. Johan Simpson, Chairman of JaRIA, with his cantankerous sometimes self. But we mentioned Peter, and I just wanted to find out from either of you if you've had personal interactions with him and wanted to say something before we continue.
You know, we had a meeting with him earlier this year. He was doing a project in a parish, in a particular parish,
Yes.
and had a meeting with him, with another members of his family, and it was just, yeah, really warm human being.
My first recollection of him was at, I think it was the first Jazz and Blues. It was the first time I was seeing Morgan Heritage live.
Yeah.
It was the first Jazz and Blues at the Rose Hall Great House, and it was just magical. And of course, afterwards, the backstage interaction was very regal and respectful. And unfortunately, you don't always get that. Back then, nobody didn't know me in the entertainment business. I mean, still a lot of people don't know me now, so it don't really make a difference. But yeah, because the truth is, a lot of the time I've spent in the industry, I've been behind either the glass or somewhere in one corner playing or something. If you don't come to rehearsal, you don't know it's who.
Yeah.
But it was very regal and respectful. I've always found that.
He has been that.
You know, in him a kind of warmth. But it is important for us to celebrate him, and for us to, in the same way we celebrate Igbo,
Well, yeah.
in the same way we
Agreed.
celebrate, you know, our members before they pass. Before they pass. I mean, I was happy to see that, you know, they have been recognized in very many spaces before. I mean, Igbo has been recognized with his national honors and so on. But JaRIA also provides a space for recognition of the players in the industry, not just posthumously, but during their lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, so it is, and that's one of the purposes of an industry association. But I'm not going to take over the hosting, Colleen, but I'm burning to go back to this government connection.
But you've taken it over.
No,
but
I
you
haven't.
have my permission.
Well, I'm happy that I do. Because the discussion around whether government representatives can sit on industry associations is one that I think can be settled with an appreciation of the difference between government as a regulator and government as an enabler. And I think if we talk about government as an enabler, then what better way to bridge the gap, of trust or distrust, to bridge the gap of understanding, to bridge the gap of communication, than to have a welcome representative sit in the deliberations to make it make sense, not to carry news or not to defend the government, because there's no, in those spaces, there is no need for defense. I mean, the existence of a phenomenon called Igbo Cooper taught many of us that there was no need to defend. Igbo was able to sit in a space where he was on the Entertainment Advisory Board across governments.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was able to be a firm champion of a JaRIA philosophically, and it was not a boaty. He was a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely correct.
You know what I'm saying? And industry associations can be bridges, and the space can allow for that. So when we talk about regulators now, when we come from the perspective of a Financial Services Commission or a transport authority or something like that, then we can have that conversation. But I think as an enabler, in the context of an enabler, for me it's a no-brainer.
Gillian, is it a no-brainer?
Yes, yeah, it actually is. I mean, I think that's how I started, isn't it? About how government can facilitate and enable.
Are you enabling? Are you enabling?
Are we enabling? Yes, we are. For example, just this past month, we have been having a series of visa and immigration symposia at the ministry, and we have been looking. We heard the cries of the industry in relation to various embassies and high commissions and the visa process and the visa regime. So there have been challenges, and we had the Canadian High Commission on the 6th of February. We had on the 13th the Ministry of Labour, our own Ministry of Labour, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the 13th. On the 20th, we had the Spanish Embassy talking about the Schengen visa regime. On Tuesday, the 27th, we had the US Embassy, and today we had the UK High Commission, or the UK Visa and Immigration, because that's the one based in New York. And they're talking about the different processes and how to overcome some of the challenges, what are the application process, what's their, you know, their things, their do's and don'ts. And so those are things that we listen to the industry and we enable and facilitate. We assist. And then there was also the Global Impact of Reggae Music Symposium that we did with a number of embassies resident in Jamaica, so the Mexican Embassy. And for example, the Mexican Embassy on the 13th, where you had the largest Latin American promoter of reggae music as part of that discussion. And those are things that the industry associations can, I mean, we can facilitate and enable the conversation.
Colleen, ask the question, please. Ask the question.
You know,
right,
I don't want you to set me up in a box.
Him setting you up.
I know he's setting me up, but I'm going to walk right into it.
Walk in the door.
Because I also think, is that the ministry's job, or is it that the ministry should partner or with an industry association? Because the truth is, if you're building the association, you build it by giving the association an opportunity to show its members benefits.
Yeah.
And so it's really against that background why I was asking the question. But
It is a ministry's job, but it is also it's twofold, isn't it? It is the ministry's job, and it is also the job of the industry associations.
So
and that partnering is
and it's how we execute.
Exactly.
Because I don't necessarily think that the ministry has to be the one to do it.
No.
Again,
absolutely
enabling.
not. Yeah.
Correct. Being a bridge. So why are you looking at me in that tone of voice?
Okay.
This bridge called my back.
Yes.
It's the title of a book,
Yes,
by
this
the way.
bridge called my back. No, beautiful. But I'm saying it because there are so many connections that exist. You're speaking of the largest Latin American reggae promoter. That I'm not going to make myself JaRIA, but in this scenario, I represent JaRIA. That I was not even aware was available for a conversation.
Kind of enough like me. May ask what happened.
So no, but the point I'm making is, that I don't you can bad me up. That's okay.
You are going to
Can
bad
we
you
do
up. Are
this
you on
after
the
the show?
registry? You on
no, we're
Simpson?
not. You see now we talk about the registry. You should know if I'm on the registry. I am on the registry.
Yes, you are.
I'm on the registry.
But the point that I'm making is this: there is a level of engagement with the associations. And I know, it's a small team, and we have a small team too. But I'm just saying there's a way that we can hold each other's arms up.
We're going to work on that.
Because at the end of the day, is in the interest of building a sound Jamaican entertainment industry.
Point taken.
That at the end of the day, all of us benefit from.
Point taken.
Including Minister Nigel Clark.
You call name now?
No, I'm saying it because sometimes we believe, and I know the ministry suffers from that perception too, that when we're talking about entertainment industry, we're talking about celebrations that are philosophical or that are historical or that are frivolous.
I don't think
And
anybody
people are
believes that
aware
anymore.
that
people are still believing
entertainment,
it.
we
People
have to make
still
the
believe it.
audience be clear that entertainment is not limited to music events.
Correct.
Or the music industry.
Correct.
It is fashion, it is
Visual arts.
visual arts, it is the
Perform-
dance,
yeah,
it is
It is animation and animation, it is film,
Yeah.
it is all of these
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
But I'm saying it is important for persons to appreciate that it has, at the end of the day, a bottom line economic significance that we have to spend the time to appreciate.
And to build.
And to build.
And to build.
Because I say it repeatedly, our entertainment product is our oil. I say it in spaces, and I promise you, today, 2024, there are people, business people who are well educated, who don't buy into that in Jamaica.
well, that is true.
That's true.
That's
okay, fine.
hands down
That's fine.
comfortable.
And people who affect policy, who don't buy into that, who say them music people there, or them entertainment people there, or them just, that is why noise is still associated with the entertainment industry.
Well, I mean, I could go from the perspective of what parents say to children about a career
in the arts.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think nationally, we really have to pause.
We have to.
And reflect on
Yeah.
what reggae means for us. Want to watch a movie yet? Want to watch a biopic?
Yes, man, absolutely.
You want me to tell you how many times I watched?
Yes,
How much time you want to do? I'm glad you put some money in. I never just take the
So-
free
so-
premiere.
But what is wrong with the free premiere? But nevertheless.
I did the free.
Oh, okay.
So I need
Yes.
to go and pay and watch it one more time.
Correct.
Watch it with the people.
With the people.
With people.
With the people.
With the people, yes. but no, and I mean, we're not going to talk about because there are lots of layers in that for me as well.
In the film?
In the film,
No,
for
true,
me.
for sure.
There are lots of layers in
Yeah.
the film for me. And that's also part of the function of an entertainment industry association. But there are things about Jamaica that we have to make up our minds about how we want to sell. How do we want to represent ourselves? Are we going to be deliberate? Intentional is a new word.
We don't know right now.
You know, Gillian, I wanted to touch you. You've worked at Ministry of Tourism as well.
Yeah.
And the whole conversation on nation branding. how do you see reggae with that? What can we do?
What can you do in relation?
Because we really don't really rank on the nation brand scale, but we are mentioned.
And it requires
like
a
Jamaica.
policy. It requires a policy.
But there is a policy that that is being worked on.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, nation branding is actually within the purview of JAMPRO. And
okay.
Remember that Ministry of Tourism is destination branding, which is a little bit
different from but it connects very
unfortunately a little bit different.
And that is again a challenge.
So it's a little bit so nation branding. Interestingly enough about nation branding, that there are individuals, reggae artists and sports people who have a larger brand than the nation brand.
Yeah.
So Marley, of course, Bolt has a larger brand, even though it's associated with Jamaica, that is larger than the nation's brand. And so the question is, how do we, even though the nation brand is what infuses those individual brands. It's a trigger for the individual brands. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to this issue of entertainment, because as you know, my own research tells me that entertainment is the idiom by which we understand culture in Jamaica.
Yes.
And because entertainment historically, and we can go back to the Greeks, where entertainment is seen as frivolous. It's this kind of little song and dance.
It's a pastime.
Yeah, it's a pastime. It's a song and dance. People don't take it seriously. And it's not just Jamaica.
Yes.
It's not just Jamaica, and I want to emphasize that.
Yes. It's not just Jamaica, but Jamaica is one of the spaces within which it is our prime product, and that's the difference. It is our best product. In other spaces, it's not. It is.
All right, so we are agreeing that reggae is our oil. It is our gold. It is our best product. We agree to that, and we go for a little break. We'll be right back.
Enough respect to Bobby Digital for helping us with this one. Yeah. LMS, I want you on stage right now. Lazza, Miriam and Shaibu, Daddy Morgan. Come. Bless. Sing along, yeah. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. You don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart. Rasta man, I tell you, say, you don't have to dread to be Rasta. Well, you don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart. London, listen good. It's a life of a liberty, lived by the fathers of our history. Uphold the ancient, see the prophecy. Trust in the power of the Trinity. I listen, got to believe in His majesty. Oh yes, His lineage and divinity, and His anointment. The first step is sovereignty, knowing thyself true loyalty. We say you don't have to dread to be Rasta. You don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart. London, make we hear you sing. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. Well, you don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart. Take them across the Jordan. Don't be afraid of Jah burning fire. Jah ever burning fire. Trust in Jah fire and you'll never get burned. Never ever. The fire that rains over heat, air and water. London tell you, no water can put out Jah fire. Jah fire gonna live Rasta. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. You don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart. Morgan family tell the world. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. Well, you don't have to dread. This is not a dreadlock thing. Divine conception of the heart.
don't have a dread to be Rasta. I have two non-dreads. But they're Rastafari, are we?
Yeah.
May Peter's soul rest in peace, you know, and light perpetually shine on him. And may the Morgan family, Gramps, you know, you are my people. We really, really, and especially his children, his wife, we send you comfort at this time because it's a family.
Yeah.
It's been a rough year, but we're here. We're here for the family, and we will hold their hands through the process. Like we know how to.
That's right. That's right.
Like we know how to.
It's a part of the reason why associations exist.
It is. It is. I mean, coming together and
family and building.
No, for sure.
we should say to the audience, the last Reggae Open University, we really wanted to talk about something completely different. Future planning, looking at your estate, looking at what type of music you're producing. All
Looking
of
at
those
how you
things.
pivot too,
Yes.
with the resources that you get from music and how you magnify that.
And how you can, So when we talk about associations, now one of the things I love most about being a part of the JaRIA is the networking that it has offered me over the years.
Okay.
And that's just one of the benefits. Yes, we have to pay with dues. Some people don't pay for the year yet, but you pay your dues. Is it enough what you get from collection?
Absolutely not. I mean, I can just answer that straight off the bat. It's not enough. It's not enough, but it takes into consideration the impecuniosity. Is that a big word?
Did you just use a big word? Can you break down the word, please?
Well, let me use two words then, and speak of the financial struggles of the average member of our industry. But there has to be a way that we get them to appreciate that $2,500 for a year is essentially 10 cents a day.
Yeah.
Yes? And if we see it in that light, and we see it in the light of an association that facilitates information, networking, sharing, policy access, policy formulation, that could cause $2,500 to be nothing eventually. If we saw that, and if we saw it as a space where we could collectively lift the unit, you know.
But maybe it's too cheap though, Johan. Maybe that money, maybe the
So we have to think
$2,500.
about the lowest member, potentially.
No, but maybe sometimes you have those members who are paying, who can pay more, subsidize some of those who can't.
Maybe we should
maybe
think
you
about
need to
tiered.
raise the price. Because sometimes there is a perception of value.
Yes. So it's not just a matter of the perception though, but yes, I agree. There are members who have said to us repeatedly, up to recently, that we need to raise the fees. The fees need to be
what do you use the fees for?
Well, you can't use the fees for anything except paying the company's office to remain compliant. And
that's the point.
And what it means, you never have a full-time person.
Correct. You can't hire a full-time person.
Basket for carry water.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So I do think it should be raised.
Yes.
But I appreciate though, Gillian, that you want to include everybody. And I think somehow you want to probably have to think about the how.
We have to find a way. But a part of the way is fundraising. Because when I say fundraising, I mean this. We can be funded from several quarters. Now, there is a distrust of direct government funding for your operations. And that has some pluses and some minuses. Because there's a thinking that if you're funded directly by government, then you can't properly lobby government. It's a little more nuanced than that, and I don't agree that that is a clear-cut challenge, you know. But then there's also funding that makes us sufficiently compliant, that gets us over the hurdle of a non-profit and so on, that then allows us to be able to access private global funding. Yes.
So we're talking structure, but Gillian, while Johan was speaking, I remembered one thing as we're talking about benefits, and I did hear the ministry announce some insurance scheme for artists.
Which is a conversation that we were in some time ago.
That we were in some time, yeah.
Yes. About
which I think we should actually continue.
Make she answer me, then you come in now.
No, she hasn't asked the question. She hasn't finished the question
yet.
No, let her finish the question,
Right,
please.
fine,
Thank
no
you.
It's all right.
I feel like I'm being bullied, but it's okay.
Where is that? Where is that? And then you want to go and come back in and say what he would like for the associations to be involved.
We're very, very far down the road on both the health and personal accident insurance, as well as with the life insurance. That will be funded actually in the next fiscal year, 24-25, which starts April 1. So that will be up on stream.
So how are you connecting to associations? Then you can talk, sir.
Then no.
No problem.
Here now is where, okay, so JaRIA, for example, I know you had started something. And then there's Java that has a fairly robust program. In fact, it was Java, it was Frankie Campbell that insisted. Frankie Campbell and Minister Grange had long-standing discussions, but Frankie insisted, and we used Frankie's model for Java to start the concept document that we had, and then brought it forward to getting the actuary to actually go through the numbers for the various companies that had tendered. So it was really Frankie's model that we had started with. Because his is fairly long-standing. I mean, there was a JFM before that, of course, but Frankie's Java insurance plan for his 100 or so persons was really kind of a footprint for us.
And I recall that we had a discussion. We had several discussions, but one of them that included Frankie and myself and yourself, and Stingray from JaRIA, where we were trying to literally magnify that model, to broaden it. Because we were in discussions with some private providers, and out of that conversation came a closer look at how we could use the national insurance scheme and how we could morph that or add that to something that the private providers would present, and so on. But then the conversation stopped. And that's a part of the continuity issue is something that I have. We're having a conversation, but how do we ensure that, for example, if somebody goes on leave, you know, you know what, I'm looking at you, Colleen, right?
Somebody who's on leave?
If somebody goes on leave, because I can't look at Gillian at this time making this point. If somebody goes on leave for, let's say, 2 years or so, right?
Like I did.
Yes, or like I did. Yes. The conversation continues in a structured way. That is why part of the challenge I have is a challenge of policy and process.
You know me love you.
You can't dash on yourself.
I'm happy that you do. But I know you do. But I know you do. Yes, so because
here now is an opportunity for this grandfathering of the...
Yes, but it feel away. Let me tell you why it feel away.
Why it feel away?
It feel away because we're in a conversation in the interest of the industry, trying to move something forward, then 2 years pass, and then you hear about it somewhere, as if this were not a conversation that was supposed to have included all of us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think it's important, Gillian. I feel you on in this. Yeah. I do think it's important for members to feel like the association that they're a part of is really actively, not just lobbying, but actively advocating on their behalf. Because that's what the collective is for.
And the industry associations have been doing that. I mean, I think it's having listened to and heard the cries of, well, let's face it. Yes, remember that the government is as well called on to deal with healthcare matters for various industry personnel. We have been called on to deal with funerals and burying people. So those are. And it's sometimes. But we need something sustainable.
Yes, it's sometimes a self-feeding animal. For that.
Because you start, you can't stop.
You start, you can't stop. But also, you begin to feel a sense of accomplishment, the more of them that you do.
No,
Which is
really?
which is
Well, we
it's
don't.
No,
we
you
don't.
won't.
We
No,
really
you
want to
won't.
pause.
No.
May we have
No, you won't.
concerts? May we have weddings?
No, but and I agree, but that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I'm saying that one of the things that we need to look at is how does the government divest itself of the need to do that for industry practitioners by empowering the industry associations to be able to educate and uplift its members so that it becomes less and less necessary. How do we provide that platform that allows us to lift each other while the government is able to take the credit for the facilitation, but to allow the associations to effectively engage?
Well, I mean, I think here now is that it's a perfect time for the ministry to meet with the industry associations as we move into the new quarter, into the in the beginning of the fiscal year, because now is the time, and we have that discussion.
We're going to continue the conversation after we wrap, because you know we have other Reggae Month things coming up. We have about 3.5 minutes to go, so I really want you, Gillian, your final word on the importance of industry association, even if you give me from your perspective in government.
No, man, industry associations are incredibly important to the development of a robust ecosystem, entertainment, culture, and creative industries ecosystem. It is the bedrock, really, and it is the industry association that kind of provides that framework for us in government to facilitate and to enable. And so I can't stress enough how important industry associations are, and healthy industry associations with proper governance structures and practices that allow their members to flourish and be able to speak and to speak freely and collectively on particular matters that affect them.
Thank you, Gillian.
For me, I agree wholeheartedly with Gillian. For me, the entertainment industry is only as good and as healthy as the associations which surround and support it. And the associations are only as good and as healthy as the government process that enables and facilitates it.
And it's a very perfect note to stop on. Thank you so much for staying with us for Reggae Month, as we've been in the studios of PBCJ all month. This is our 4th week, or is it our 5th week? Our 5th week for Reggae Open University. The university doesn't stop in Reggae Month. We continue throughout. Gillian Wilkins and Matt Daniel, Principal Director, Entertainment Policy at the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Thank you. Ewan Simpson, Chairman, JaRIA. Always a pleasure having a chat with you. We move on to other things, but please follow JaRIA on all platforms: YouTube, JaRIA Entertainment, Facebook, JaRIA Entertainment, and we're also on IG, and we tweet too. We soon start TikToking. Indeed. I'm Colleen, and it has been my pleasure being your host for this evening. Have a wonderful month of March.
Nairobi, Kenya, let me hear you. Another Rockers moment in your bowl. Hey, a man is still a man without him wear jacket and time walk barefoot. The only difference is whether I'm good or evil. When I am big, you say a man is still a man. Without him rich or poor, black or white for sure. The only difference is whether I'm good or evil. Grandpa sing, yeah. Never mind class, creed, or race. For the wealth of all men, yeah.
And yeah, that's where it started. Nice. Because it's not a killing thing, it's just recognize it. You can't walk over me, youth. You see it? And give me respect. So from this up, every man start showing me respect. Because them have me as a girl, them sugar. Them don't have me as a bad man DJ. Them don't have me as a DJ where I go face a bounty killer with theme face and theme aggression where him have. You see it? So everybody feel like, but I'm not a idiot. Me never grew as a fool. And, you know, nobody not frighten me. You're not God. So, yeah.
So which artist would you say has had the biggest impact on Beenie Man's career?
You have a few. You have, all right. From a little youth, Don Carlos from Black Road, original Black Road. He was a postman at the time. And whenever I ride past his, I'm on the always have an orange and a banana, forgive me. And I say, make sure you stay in music. You have Jimmy Cliff, you have Ras Kabi, you have Ras Michael.
You're related to Jimmy in some way?
No, Jimmy Cliff, my uncle used to play percussion for his band.
Oh, that's a connection, yeah. Okay.
That's a connection. And then you have Ijam and Levi. But the man that made me really DJ was General Trees and Brigadier Jerry, yeah.
And which producer would you say helped to make Beenie Man the man he is
Danny
today?
Dredd, really, because he was the man that put me in the studio the first time.
And what has been the relationship working with him?
Well, Danny Dredd is, all right, everybody me know in my yard, you see? Because in my yard is the yard, because you have Solomon Wolf, which is the president of the Ethiopian Federation at the time. So every man who I tell about is Rastafarian. So them always them yard. So in my yard. Yeah, that's how we meet all of them. And that's where, you know, I learn to stand firm as a musician and be who I am today.
Are you a religious or a spiritual person?
Yeah, well, I'm an Ethiopian Orthodox, but I have myself as a spiritual person, not a religious person. I don't deal with religion because I still have to honor my mother and my father. There you go.
Beenie Man touring, do you enjoy going out on the road? Is that something?
Yeah, well, the greatest thing is to be on the road and see the support that people give you. Because when you get support otherwise from Jamaica, when you go to America and you sell out a stadium or you sell out an arena, is something that you can know that you're actually there. When you go to Europe and, you know, you sold out any place. Because sometimes when you're there on some reggae concert in Europe, you have 4 different stages. So when I hear time to perform, nobody don't have to be there. But when I hear time to perform, you see 40,000 people in front of you, come on now. Or you cannot feel great. Like, this is the greatest feeling. You perform in Madison Square Garden, you sold it out. It's the greatest feeling when you perform in front of other people, otherwise from Jamaica. It's a great thing. So touring is a great thing. You've been to Australia, you've been to Africa, you've been everywhere in the Caribbean, the English-speaking, Spanish-speaking, and French-speaking Caribbean. You are the man there. Even the Dutch-speaking Caribbean, you're the man there. So, you know, North America, South America, anywhere you go to, you're just the man.
You remember the experience on your first ever tour?
My first ever tour, me at 10-year-old. I was in
that's
Canada.
When you go to Canada?
Yeah, that's when I went to Canada.
What's your most memorable tour?
The most memorable tour was the world tour. Because I've done a lot of different shows. I did TV shows for BBC, you know, with some of the biggest artists in the world, you know, Usher, Aguilera, Eve, Elton John. You did shows with all of these people, which is international superstars. But yesterday when you walk up on stage and say, sing, everybody say, who got the keys to the people? These tours. The world tour was the best one, and the next one was even better because you get other shows by yourself, not only the tour. Because you do shows like that when you sign with companies like Virgin, like me used to sign with Island Record and sign with Virgin, so you get other different type of shows.
As I mentioned, this Zim Zim, I walk out on the stage and say Zim Zim. You saw the BBC clip recently, all the sports stars. Give them the first line.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's not the first one. Them,
yeah.
you know, that was like.
I mean, how you feel when you see something like that?
So overwhelmed and proud. You know, and you're grateful for the work that you have done, and you're grateful for people that love the work that you have done, and appreciative.
Tell us about some of the collaborations that you have done now with some of the international stars. Being the man, the king of the dance hall, meeting these people and performing with them.
Now, well, all right. Everybody that I've worked with overseas and Jamaica and the Caribbean is all about respect. You know? Not only the artists, I talk about the producers and the man that make the beats and all of them things. Like, the first time I met Neptunes, we actually have a conversation for 2 hours before we start work. Then him get the idea, say, you know, that is Pharrell Williams. Him get the idea, say, him a go make Sim Sima and Girls Them Sugar together. So I say, oh, you go do that? Him say, him a go say Sim Sima and me sing Girls Them Sugar. So I laugh at the idea the first time, but when the man played the rhythm, the beat was sick. So him play the beat, and him say, Sim Sima, beating on the Girls Them Sugar. They're wicked. So I'm sorry, we need to get somebody for put night now for guitar a change. So I'm get Maya. And Maya came in the studio. I'll take the stars out the skies. Some wicked. I win a Grammy Award for it. Because this is I think my third nomination. I was nominated 2 times, man. You know, I never won. So, you know, but I was there. Because when I'm invited to the Grammy, you go to the Grammys. You don't stay home. You go to the Grammys. So this time I went there, they say, you're going to win tonight. Everybody telling me that, you're going to win tonight. So I get hungry. So I go upstairs, go buy a cheese sandwich, and I watch the TV. And because in the building, them show the whole stage in the building. And I watch the TV in the building. And I say, when they call out the Reggae Grammy, as I buy the sandwich, I call out the Reggae Grammy. And say, winner, Beanie Man. I don't know I reached on stage, but I reach here, sir. I reached on stage, call it my Grammy, and yeah, that was a great feeling.
Is that your proudest moment so far?
Not really, but one of the proudest moments. And one of the proudest